All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of The Sportsman, the Super Bowl edition. We'll be covering a few things, but mainly the Super Bowl. As always, Joey D, myself, the big ticket. No Jet this week, but we miss him dearly. He's working on an episode of Bob Does Sports. So, guys doing the Lord's work.
Banger episode too, by the way. Bob Does
Yeah,
Sports versus Spitting
spitting
Chicklets.
chicklets. Yep.
A lot of excitement for that one coming out.
Yeah, well, it'll be out by the time this is out. So once you're done here, go and check that out, or you probably already watched it and then came here. So whatever order you want to do it, just watch them both. But real quick, before we even jump into the Super Bowl, go Birds, by the way. It was my birthday the other day, right?
Yeah.
It was a very special day. It was 2 days before before the Super Bowl. And I got to say, I got reached out by you. I got reached out by Bob, a lot of my friends, we all have presents on Instagram. And I was like, man, I don't need anything. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Then a dear friend of ours, a few days later, Mikey V's birthday. And I'm just seeing pomp and circumstance. We're celebrating this man as if he's, the president of the United States all over Instagram. And I'm not saying I need to be treated like Mikey V. I would never say such a thing. I would just say, I was taken aback.
Well,
There was.
I will say
this guy's getting multiple stories from Bobo. You got a post from
Yeah.
Joey D.
Well, the post is something I had the funny picture there, which was a no-brainer. But also, first and foremost, if we're going to tell the story, let's tell the whole story. There was a very nice message that was sent from yours truly to you the day
Very
of
true.
your birthday. And then a nice gift following as well that was sent as well.
That's very true.
I find you to be more of a sentimental guy. You're not all like smoke and mirrors on Instagram and like social media and stuff. So I didn't post anything, which I thought back about it and I was like, I don't know if Poppy really is like, is one for the post. So I did think about it.
Okay.
The Mikey V one, let's call a spade a spade. This guy, a post for Mikey V is going to go a lot longer than a post for Pop. Now, it doesn't mean by any means that I valued his birthday in higher regard than yours, because I thought I actually did something very nice for you. But I know you're more of a sentimental guy in the sense that I was like, I'm going to keep it simple, send him a personalized message just between him and I, send him a message on the squad group with us, send him something to let him know I'm thinking about him. So that was my line of thinking. And to be honest, Pop, I've been telling you, your presence on social media has really not been extensive as of late. So that's part of the reason why I didn't put anything up. But you know what? I did think about it, to be completely honest. I did think when I posted the thing with Mikey V, I was going to post that picture at some point. I thought it was a great time to post it for his birthday, but I did think back and I was like, oh boy, I didn't post anything for Pop. I'm sure there's going to be some kind of consideration of why there was nothing posted. But in all honesty, it was more so I think everybody has their own way of like kind of sharing something to make it special. I knew that if I put a post for Mikey, that he would hold that in such high regard, more so than with someone. And like someone like Jet, for example, I wouldn't dare put a post up or something because it'd actually piss him off. So everybody has their own way. But yeah, that's my kind of jury speak to kind of defend myself. That being said, I do think I gave you a very nice gift.
Yes,
I sent you a nice message. And by the way, with that gift, you could get yourself that pair of pants that we've been talking about for a while now. I think that covers a really nice pair.
And you know what? I might. And you know what? I got those Adidas shorts too. They're
Did you
awesome.
Get them?
Oh,
no, I didn't get the short. I got the shoes. I didn't get the shorts. So you get the shorts.
I didn't get the shoes. I got 2 pairs of shorts and they're fucking awesome.
So I think there are supposed to be shoes coming as well, because I gave the size, because I got the shoes, not the shorts. Bob, you, and Jet got the shorts, not the shoes. But the shoes they sent are, look at these things. These things are fucking. Hold on, I gotta show you these puppies. Look at these. Look at those.
Yeah, those are Adidas.
Yeah, dude. And look at these.
Now those are tight. That's up my alley. The other ones
look so comfortable.
The other ones look like who's the brand that makes
almost
that
like
fancy?
the G4?
G4, yeah.
Yeah, they look like a classic golf shoe. They're really nice.
Yeah.
I will say the guy, shout out to the rep, he hit me up. He goes, I got to tell you, you made a hole-in-one wearing the Code Chaos Adidas shoes. And then you hold out with an eagle with another pair of Adidas shoes. He's like, you might just be an Adidas guy. And you know what? I might just wear nothing but Adidas moving forward, especially wearing those kings. Those kicks are fucking fire. So
I don't get
hopefully
on
you
the
get
golf
shoes
course
coming.
much, but I usually wore Adidas as well. I love Adidas. I
The
think
shorts were nice though.
the shorts are awesome. Yeah, the shorts are great.
Yeah.
Now, let me tell you something real quick before we get to the Super Bowl about a move that I did with Mikey V, actually. You tell me if you think this is a good move or not.
All
I
right.
texted him a day before his birthday, acting like I thought it was his birthday. I said, "Hey, Mikey V, good pals. Happy birthday, bud. Hope you have a good one. Best to you and your family." And then he hits me back as expected, like, "Oh, birthday's tomorrow, but thanks, man." But I get ahead of the curve. He knows I'm thinking about him. I'm one of the first people to send it, and it's not too far away. It's a day before. And then I hit him again the next day on his birthday. So it's like I'm just doubling down on how much I care about him.
You would
And
have
it's not,
sworn with the amount of messages this guy got for his birthday that he was Nelson Mandela.
that's
Like
what
this
I
guy
thought.
was being celebrated like he was like the 2024 Times Person of the
I
Year.
know.
And
I
you know
know.
what? He loved it.
Oh boy, does Mikey V share every and
I
everything, man.
will say this. I will say this that when you do something nice for Mikey, he is one of
Very
the most
appreciative.
appreciative people, and he'll tell you,
Yeah.
which makes you feel good about doing something nice for him because he goes out of his way to let you know how much it means to him. And that's really what
Mhm.
it's all about, you know?
I agree. I agree. But that was a little test run. And I think it went over very well. So now for people's birthdays moving forward, if I don't see them in person, I'm going to hit them a day early
But if
first.
you're really close to the person, don't you think it's bad to make it seem like you don't know what their birthday is?
I suppose, but it's maybe it's for people you're not super close with, but people you're
Let me
close with.
ask you a question. Now
Okay.
we've gone now like 5-10 minutes without talking about an iota of sports. But while we're on the topic, I gotta ask you, how many people like in your friends network, aside from family, like aside from your mom, dad, like aside from family, like how many people could you tell me like you know their actual birthday?
Uh,
Because it's
three,
tough.
four. I know Bob's. I know mine, obviously. I know
Well,
Mike.
yours, I mean, I would hope you know your birthday, Dick. I'm
I
talking
know.
about like friends, like because I got to be
Uh,
honest,
I
there's
have them
only a
all in my
couple.
calendar. I
That's what
have
I'm
them
doing
all in my
now.
calendar, but I don't off the top of my head. I know Bob's only because it's a month after mine, and that's it.
So I knew this was a big birthday month for me because Showtime, you, Bear Down, my brother, my sister, all February babies. So what I did, I went into the anecdote of my old messages. I typed birthday and I just
Oh,
started searching for all the happy birthday messages I've sent so I could plug in on the calendar because if you don't have
beautiful
those
move.
in the calendar, it's a problem. But now that
Mm-hmm.
I know, I'm going to do it for everybody so I can get ahead of it so that the week of
Mm-hmm.
it comes, there's no questioning. But I would be honest with you, I think I maybe know three friends' actual birthdays. I know months and I know vicinities, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't always know the exact day of like a birthday for my friends.
Yeah, that's a great move. I've done that before too, where I'm like, I think it's close to this guy's birthday. So I'll go in, I'll type birthday, and then go down to like September, whenever I think it is. And like, have I
Yeah.
said this before in the past? Yep, I've done the same thing. All right, let's get to the Super Bowl 2025. Philadelphia Eagles are world champions. They only play
Wow.
this sport in this country, but we're considered world champions. Um, and what a game, man. An absolute fucking beatdown.
Well,
Obviously, the
some people
score
would
at
say it
the
was a
end,
terrible game, to be honest.
to me, it was
Like
beautiful.
as an objective viewer, the game was essentially over at halftime.
It was a beautiful game played by beautiful people, coached by even more beautiful people. I mean, it was a fantastic day of pomp and circumstance. The halftime show was fantastic. Everyone enjoyed themselves. It was a lot of fun.
Where
And
did you watch the game?
I was here. I had a few friends over from high school over, and yeah, Al and I watched it, and it was
Now, were you? I was messaging you throughout the game. You were still not like they were up almost 24 points, and you were not like convinced that the game was over.
well, only and only because 2 years prior, they had been up a significant amount. I forget, was it 17 or something at half against the Chiefs going into halftime in the Super Bowl? and they let the Chiefs just walk right back into that game. Andy Reid made great second half adjustments, and the rest is history. So I was still nervous for them to do something along those lines. But man, did that defense come out still flying in the second
Yo,
half.
you
Take
got to
care of
be so
business.
happy with how that line played because
Oh,
they weren't even blitzing. They were bringing
mm-mm.
four, and they were causing absolute havoc every second play. They were either sacking Mahomes, knocking him down, flustered. The Chiefs just never, ever got it. They never got their offense up and running the way that they needed to. They just looked out of
Mm-hmm.
sorts. Even there were sometimes Mahomes would have in the first half at least an open Kelsey, the throw would be low, or like they looked bad. And I think it all stems from the Eagles defense just absolutely flying out of the gates. And in a game where Saquon Barkley really didn't have to do much, you got to
Yeah.
give kudos where kudos are due. You've been very hard on this guy throughout the year. Jalen Hurts to me was the best player hands down on the field for the majority of that game. Aside from the one interception he made all the throws he had to make. He was dialed in. Let's not even talk about the first drive of the game, that throw to AJ Brown that they called on a
Yeah.
horrendous offensive pass interference. But he was just putting the ball where it needed to be placed. A deep ball later in the game to Devonta Smith, just beautiful passes. He ran when he needed to. He was smart with the ball. I mean, he looked unbelievable. And I know you've been
Yeah.
very hard on him. What are your thoughts? Like, if he could continue doing that into next year, I mean, the fucking ceiling is so high with him when he plays like that. You had to be thrilled.
I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled. I mean, clearly Jalen Hurts he's a system guy. I don't think he's like a Patrick Mahomes or a Tom Brady or a guy that you can just pick up and put in any team and he's going to be great based on just the skills that he has. I think you
Yeah.
need an offense that fits him in and plays his style of football, which, if you have that system, great. Obviously, you can win a Super Bowl, and he's gone twice now. But if you're not that kind of team, I think if you put him in the Bills offense tomorrow, I think it's a completely different kind of story. Not that he can't have some success, but it's not the same thing. But listen, the guy did it. He's a winner. He's a born winner. He's proven that everywhere he's gone, he's won. He's 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 unbelievable. I
Well,
mean,
he did get replaced in
what?
Alabama, went to Oklahoma, didn't exactly have a ton of success.
Yeah, but
So I
then
don't
he
know if he's
came to
been
the
a born
Eagles,
winner
and
everywhere.
I mean, but he still played for two of the biggest programs in the country. They
Yeah,
thought
no,
enough of him to play there,
I'm just
and
saying he was
and
kind
he
of when
played
he
in the
got.
national championship game. He just got benched, but he played in it. I mean, he's been at the biggest game on the biggest stage on all of the levels so far.
But the
So,
knock that you had with him for so long is that he couldn't make the big throw when he needed to. He's shown that throughout this playoffs that he has what it takes. By the way, coming off injury, like he was not like, especially early on in the playoffs, wasn't 100%. That Packers game, he definitely was not 100%.
yeah,
Um, but I would argue now that he has won Super Bowl
yeah.
MVP. You got to think moving forward now to next season and beyond. He's playing with house money. His confidence is going to be extremely high. And you got to think that Sirianni and the coaches are going to give him some leeway to call his shots. You got to think that that's going to put him in a position where moving forward, he's hopefully going to take that confidence and put it to good use to where in the past, maybe he was reluctant to make a pass or do something out of ordinary. Now he's going to really hopefully take off and run and be that franchise quarterback that you need for the
Mm-hmm.
foreseeable future.
Well, my issue with Hertz was not that he couldn't make the big throw in the big moment. I always knew that he could. It's that he was inconsistent. Is that he could make that throw one week and then the next week come out and look absolutely lost. With Aaron Rodgers, a guy like that, you always knew that when it came to the big throw, he was going to come through for you. That was the magic sauce that he had in Green Bay there for so long. And with Jalen Hurts, he would one week he would make it, and the next week he'd throw an interception or something like
Yeah.
that. So I think Jalen Hurts he was playing his best football of his life by the end of the season. He got hot at the right time. but ultimately, the Eagles team was built on defense and was built on a running game, which Jalen Hurts is a big part of. And the only thing that the Chiefs did well on Sunday during the Super Bowl was they locked down Saquon. That was the only thing they did well, but they didn't lock down Jalen Hurts. And the defense absolutely was all over the Chiefs all game long, and they couldn't get anything going. I mean, that was the worst game I think I've seen Patrick Mahomes play
Oh,
potentially ever, or since the Super Bowl, his first Super Bowl that he lost.
I mean, I think when Cooper DeJean took that interception back to the house, to me, that was the game. They were still technically in it, but then the next drive, another interception, they go down, score 20. I mean, at that point, it's just like, oh my God, this thing is a rout. Some of these young guys on your defense, you got to be thrilled with how they played. I just mentioned Cooper DeJean, but Jalen Carter, some of these guys, like
Zach
you guys
Bond.
oh my God, you guys have now players in your secondary and your linebacking core who are young enough now that are going to be presence. They're going to have their presence known for the foreseeable future, which has got to make you feel great. You got a great defense. You got an offense with Saquon that is one of the more dynamic ones. And if Hurts can play the way that he does, and then you add that run game with one of the best offensive lines in the game, if not the best offensive line, I mean, you guys are really now set up, to really do this thing for a while.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there's no reason that most of this team isn't back next year. I mean, obviously, the big thing that we're going to lose is Kellen Moore's gone.
Yeah.
Vic Fangio he could get a head coaching job.
I would lock that guy down immediately.
I know.
I mean,
I kind of think he doesn't want to be a head coach. I think he likes being a decoy. I mean, he's been one for so long.
A lot of these guys, like the Chiefs, Spagnuolo, like they actually thrive better in their defensive coordinator roles than as a head coach. So sometimes
hopefully
right.
he sticks around. Yeah, hopefully he sticks around. But Kellen Moore for sure, which he obviously got Jalen Hurts in a great spot. So we'll have to figure that out. He's never had since he's come with the Eagles and been the starting quarterback of the Eagles. He hasn't had the same offensive coordinator 2 years in a row. He's had a different one every single year. So when you consider that as well, maybe I've been a little hard on the guy. But
you've been hard on this entire team. I mean, we started the season off saying that they were like a Super Bowl contender, one of the teams that we thought would win. Mikey and I were saying that to you, and you could not have been lower on this team. I remember the game they played the Cleveland Browns. They barely squeaked out a win. You would have sworn this team was not even going to make the playoffs. And I understand why you did what you did, because you had high expectations of them and you only wanted to settle for like the best. But I mean, it was clear as day that this team was built different, that they were one of the better teams in the NFL. You put together the year that Saquon had, and it's just like, oh my God, this team is set for success. But what I like
after that Rams game, I did come around. I was pretty confident on the Eagles after the Rams game.
There was a moment for me where they started having issues with AJ Brown and Hurts, and I was like, this could go sideways. But I got to say, overall, like to see, especially Saquon, like how dialed in and how like about the team they were. There was not really anybody who put themselves ahead of the team. And that's why I think that they were really successful. But it makes me realize as a Packers fan, like we were missing half our team when we played against you guys. And I've given you guys ended up winning easily. But there was moments in that game where we were only down a touchdown with half of our team playing, none of our receivers. It shows me that we're not that far away from being a team that could go and win as well. Like maybe not this year, but maybe in the next couple of years. And I think we're just a couple pieces away, maybe going out and making a splash and getting a guy like Myles Garrett, or going out and getting a big time receiver that can be our number one clear cut, like Cooper Kupp might be on the go. I think if they could do that, it gives me confidence, because we were hanging with you guys in that game. But yeah, kudos to you, man. It's got to be fun. I remember years and years ago, 2010, 2011, when the Packers won the Super Bowl, it's like you're almost sitting there at the end of the game watching, like, I can't believe, like, that's it. We're Super Bowl winners. Like, I'm untouchable for the rest of the year. No one can talk shit. Like, it's almost like a pinch me moment. It's like, this is unbelievable. So I was really happy for you, because There's a lot of people who don't get a chance to watch your team win the Super Bowl, and you guys did it against arguably the best team in this last decade. Well, not arguably, the best team of this last decade. And up until the Patriots run, like, this is a team of destiny. Now, on the other side of the ball, you're looking at the Chiefs. I don't know now where do they go from here? Because, Kelsey was, for all intents and purposes, might as well not have been on the field, which is tough because great guy, great player, one of the best to do it, but just I don't know what happened. He was nowhere to be seen. That line was just
that's the real problem.
And then, they go from, I understand Pacheco got hurt early in the year, but when he first was playing, they had a real run game going on. Then they had a makeshift thing with Kareem Hunt and him back and forth. They got to figure that out. So a lot of questions on their end. I mean, no one expects them to win every single year, but they kind of put themselves in that position. What are your takeaways with the Chiefs and where do they go? Are they going to be a force still to be reckoned with next year or moving forward? Or is that it? Is that where the buck stops there and Cinderella run is done? And,
I mean, they're at a real crossroads. I think they could go either way. I think the likelihood of them being the Chiefs all over again is much higher than them starting to head in the other direction and the window closing for them winning anymore. I think they're going to be fine. I would assume that they're going to head into this draft focused on the offensive line because that was the clear problem. As bad as Travis Kelce was, Patrick was running for his life the entire game. It's not like he had much time to let Travis get open at all, or any of his guys get open for that matter. They're going to have Rashee Rice back probably, right?
Yeah.
He'll be fine. I don't know about his legal troubles, but he'll be healthy. They might add another piece. I mean, as long as they shore up that offensive line, that's kind of all they need to do. The team's pretty good. Maybe a few pieces on defense. I think, obviously, like I said in the beginning, they could go either way, but I think the chances of them being right there at the Super Bowl again next year and Patrick Mahomes returning to form and the Chiefs being the Chiefs again, I think that's much more likely than them falling off. But yeah, they got some work to do for sure. But at the end of the day, they were in the Super Bowl. Still a good team, still a damn good team.
So great. I mean,
yeah,
no team has won 3 years in a row. Would have been the first in history. So
no one was happier than Tom Brady that they didn't win. Guy was loving that Eagles win, man.
This guy was flexing with the watches. And I mean, this guy, I will say, I thought he did a pretty good job calling the game.
Me too.
There were a lot of times he alluded to himself. And, when we were in this, I was like, okay, dude, we get it. Like, how many times we got to hear about your previous history, which everyone knows. But I will give him credit. I thought he did a pretty good job calling the game. But yeah, there was some serious flexing going on with the watches and
I like that he was quick to that he's not hesitant to speak on whether he agrees with the call from the ref or not. Like early on that AJ Brown call, it was looking like, oh boy, here come the refs protecting the Chiefs again. And then they chilled out. They had a makeup call the next offensive drive, and then they were pretty good most of the game, honestly. Called it pretty evenly.
I will say this,
but I like that Tom was quick to get on them about that because there are some guys in the booth that are company men that will be like, well, the call's the call, So I appreciated that about him.
I will say this, my buddy Rocky was telling me this, and it makes a lot of sense. Like everybody complains about the refs and how they're so pro Chiefs. I think had the Chiefs won for a third consecutive year, three-peat champions again, and there's some questionable calls, you would have had so many more people in an uproar that they won again, that I think for the actual league and for the integrity of everything, whether or not they have helped them in the past, it made sense that the Eagles would have been the team to come out on top here, because I think a lot of people would have been fucking in an uproar had the Chiefs come out of this game a winner again.
But if they had won this game called exactly the same way, the calls went the exact same way, that the Chiefs just played better, I don't think many people would have questioned the integrity of the refs because they really largely stayed out of it. They honestly,
right out of the gates, the first call of the game negated a first down. Now, they made up for it. They gave you guys a first down on the next drive.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
But I'm just saying, I think just in general, people were ready to see someone else other than the Chiefs win.
Yeah. And now the Chiefs are set up to come right back and win again next year. And people can't say shit. Hey, we lost. We fucking lost.
Good time to
So
put some future money on the Chiefs to win the next Super Bowl, maybe.
it really might be because, yeah, I mean, if that narrative was out there and the NFL wanted to get rid of it, like, look, they don't win every year. The Eagles won last year, and then they can get right back to business.
Early on, obviously, you just won, but like, do you think for the next Super Bowl, you think the Eagles are back there next year?
I don't see a reason they couldn't be. I mean, I think the Commanders are going to be that much better next year. I think,
I think the
they're going to be.
Lions, if they get their defensive players back, the Aiden Hutchinsons, like all they had so many guys missing. If they get if they get that defense back, they're going to be a real team to deal with next year as well.
Well, the only two big question marks for the Lions for me are we're about to find out how much of that team was Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and we're about to see what kind of coach Dan Campbell is. And the other piece of that puzzle to me is that might have been the best version of Jared Goff we ever see. I mean, the guy, I don't think he can get any higher, but he can get worse. So those are the two big things. But yes, overall, the team's great. I would expect them to be very competitive. I don't even, the Packers are going to be better. Obviously, you guys are going to probably have a pretty nice draft. Just get even more solid. The thing with you guys is just staying healthy. And then if you stay healthy, then I think you're right there. But yeah, I mean, the Eagles should be right back there again. I expect Super Bowl again. That's going to be my expectation, obviously, walking into next year.
I think that's a good expectation to have, especially the way they showed out these playoffs. I think they give you reason to believe that they can win any given year now, and they're set up with Saquon for, they're in a good spot. So I would like in the AFC, coming back. I like in the AFC, I would like to see the Bills make like an off-season move or two to really help Josh out, because I think that, they are a team that is ready to win now, and they need like a big-time player, like either on defense or offense, that can help out so Josh isn't needing to carry them. The Ravens are right there too. Like, they're a team that are set up to win now. So it'll be interesting to see, but it's crazy now that football's gone. It's like you wait so long for that first week to come. That first week is like Christmas. It comes out of nowhere. And then you blink your eye and the playoffs are coming, and then Super Bowl's gone. And now we go into the off season of baseball.
Oh, the dreaded baseball season. But you know what? You love baseball. You love those, what is it, first inning, no score?
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like that.
No runs first inning.
NRFI.
Yeah. There's no quicker bet in sports than that one. Maybe the coin toss, but that's, you can bet and get your money back or find out what happens.
It just gets you in and out of there. Either you're out, you feel like you did a quick heist, or you feel like you just got your pants pulled down and pickpocketed before you even knew what happened. But at least you're not set watching a 3.5 hour regular season baseball game, which is just, I wouldn't recommend to most people. Now, on another note, we do have a lot of golf, which is good because we got golf season coming up. Masters is about, coming up, a couple months away. It's going to be there before we know it. Big news, Tiger Woods in this next, Genesis Invitational, which normally the Genesis tournament is normally held at Riviera. Obviously, due to the fires and whatnot, it's at Torrey Pines. Now, Tiger had announced that he was going to play in it, and now, just recently withdrew. Do you think Tiger Woods has many more? Like, do you think his time is gone? I mean, he's a legend. He's arguably been the biggest name in sports for 25 years plus. Do you think, like, if you're his PR person, are you telling him, like, let's just ride off into the sunset? Now, I would have loved to seen him retire after winning the Masters again and just like gone out on the absolute top, never to be seen again, just iconic legend status set for life, which he already has. But what's your thoughts on that? Like, do you think he's tainting his reputation by going in and out, having to withdraw all these tournaments? Like, what do you think?
For a long time, I was always behind Tiger. It's like, leading up to that Masters that he ended up winning, which was a huge comeback story based on what he had gone through up to that point. I was always behind him. I was like, this guy's got more in him. He's got more in him. Now he's done. He can't win anything. I don't even think he can clearly. His best day is always Thursday. By Saturday, if he makes the cut, he's all the walking clearly takes a toll on this guy. I just if a tournament was one day, I would say yes, he's got more left in him. But the fact that it's 4 days, all that walking, I just don't think he's a 4 day guy anymore, which is why he's so heavily involved with the DGL. Obviously, that's his whole thing. I think that's set up for him. I think he can win plenty of those. I think he can win a simulator contest. I don't think he can go out there and win a tour event again. I mean, forget a major. I don't think he can win a tour event. I mean, what do you think? Do you think he's got one last ride? No, I just don't see it.
I don't know if he's going to win. I think it's still good for golf to have him out there because he's such an iconic legend. It sucks seeing him struggle. You know what I mean? Like, because he for so long just played such a difficult game with such relatively like so much ease. Like it was just like he made a sport that's so tough look like it was easy. And now, you watch him on some of these days where it's just like he looks withered and beat up. And, I think it's still great to have him, especially for the younger generation, the youth, and like people who haven't grown up watching him. Like, luckily enough, we were able to watch him play golf in his peak and watch him dominate the tour. Now, I will say back in the day when early 2000s, I was not watching golf the way I watch it now. I was not that invested, but you would hear there'd be a tournament and you'd be like, oh, Tiger Woods isn't winning. Like, what is he, like 3-4 strokes back? Had I gone back now with my accounts now, I would have been firing in him to win on Sunday every day because you just figured he was going to come back and win almost every tournament. To the likes of you've never seen that domination before. Scotty Scheffler had an unbelievable year and arguably the best year in however long. And you still look at him and it was like, yeah, he still didn't win nearly as much as Tiger. So it goes to show how dominant he was. I think he's good for the sport. Good for people to go out there. But I kind of agree with you. I think at some point, his health and his ability to walk and just, he still looks shredded as shit. Like, I mean, the guy's jacked, but you're right. Like as the tournament goes on, it's tough to watch,
He's always been in great shape. And obviously, lifting weights and all that's a big deal for him. And for a long time, when he was still playing very competitively, people always thought that was going to be a detriment to him. Just because, if you're too muscly, it's hard for your swing path and all that. But, he looks as built as ever, like you just said, and he looks like he's in great shape for a man of his age. But he's just clearly, when you watch him, he's hobbling out there by the end of Friday. Saturday, he's completely gone. Sunday, he's usually 20 strokes back, and they're not even showing him on TV. He looks so bad. So, yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I think he's great for the game of golf, but maybe he needs to transition that into something else now, get involved in a different way. Obviously, I mean, I think he's trying to make this TGL thing work. I'm not sold on it. I don't know how many people are. I mean, I haven't watched too much of it. Are you watching it? Are you enjoying it? Do you think this could ever compete with golf or be something that people watch regularly, like 5, 10, 15 years down the road?
I do think it's good for golf in the sense that it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, you don't get golf midweek in the evening, right? Like, I mean, so like a Tuesday night or Wednesday night to get extra golf, it's almost like when the NFL added Thursday nights to the schedule. They always were Sunday and Mondays. There was, football on, and the rest of the week there was no football. And then you give an extra day of the week, and it's kind of exciting to watch it. So I think it's good for viewership for people to get into it and watch, especially with Tiger being at the helm. That being said, I have not really been dialed in on it myself personally. I think because it's backed by Rory and by Tiger that it's going to have some longevity, but I don't know. I think it's safe to say that like the jury's still out on how long are people going to be fascinated with people hitting a golf ball into a screen. You know what I'm saying?
And someone still needs to explain to me what the reason is that the green is rotating. Why do we need to do that? What's the point of that other than a stunt? Like, look, we made the green revolving.
I think it's just part of the smoke and mirrors of the whole
thing.
It's a gimmick. And you know what? You got to do something. again, you're not playing outside, you're not dealing with elements, you're not doing what, so they got to make something, they got to make it that give that allure and that excitement that people are like, oh my goodness, it's state of the art, things are moving, so I know
Yeah,
I would like to hope that it has a chance, but I don't know.
I
They're
agree.
struggling even on the PGA Tour trying to get viewership up for like non-majors and smaller tournaments. It's I don't know.
Yeah,
It'll be interesting to see what happens, but safe to say it's
absolutely.
still early on to call.
All right, moving on to the NBA here. Anthony Davis, already hurt. We used to call him the Glass Man, and he
Nah,
wasted no time here in Dallas. What do you think of Anthony Davis?
took his injuries from LA to Texas. Yeah, not much to say. The guy is if he was a pencil, he'd be in dire need of a sharpening because that thing's been worn down to a nub. Um, on the other side of it, Luca, not a crazy stat line, not a ton of points. But you know what? I think he's going to find himself in that Lakers roster. I think he's going to fit in well. I mean, I don't know, see any way that he doesn't. Um, Guy's going to put up some stats, man. He's going to put up some triple doubles playing with LeBron. Um, and he looks pretty good in gold. Yeah, in gold and purple. I don't know. What do you think?
I think so too. And that first game against Dallas is coming up. And some of the star power that's already bought, courtside tickets and just tickets to the game, that's going to be must watch TV. That's
Ticket
going to be,
sales.
I'm going to be all over on that one. That's going to be like Super Bowl levels, like ticket
Ticket
sales.
sales for just in general for Lakers games now have got to be ridiculous. Like they
Oh, yeah.
already are the highest, one of the highest ticket prices. Maybe the Knicks is up there,
Hmm.
for Madison Square Garden, Celtics. But like I would say now you add one of the most prolific players in the league, and in a star-studded town like LA, I mean, everybody's going to want to go watch that. Those courtside tickets are going to be hefty, Pop.
You think you'll find yourself at one of those games eventually?
Absolutely not.
Oh, yeah. Then cut to 3 months from now, you're fucking
I
sitting
actually sat
next.
courtside with Bob at a Lakers game for a quarter and a half. For like the
Yeah.
second half, our buddy Cuz had tickets, and he was like, "If you guys want to go for the second half, like we're gonna be heading out." We got the tickets. We got down there like maybe like 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes into the third quarter. And then the fourth quarter, it was a blowout. They rested all their starters. I saw LeBron for like 2 minutes, but it was a cool 2 minutes to watch him on the court side. Um, yeah, I can't justify spending 10 grand for a ticket to a game.
No, no,
Ever,
not
ever.
for anything. Not for a Super Bowl, not for a Stanley Cup, not
If
for
it was to
anything.
watch the Canucks in game 7 of a Stanley Cup Finals,
10 grand?
I think that's a lot. I think like
How
five,
upset would you
five.
be if you paid 10 grand to watch the Canucks in game 7 and then they lost?
Oh, they would. I think 5K I would spend, but I don't know, man. That's a lot of money to watch your team.
Yeah. By the
The
way, I
Canucks
was
have
talking
never
to,
won, so I think I could justify it a little bit more, but
yeah, I was
I don't
talking to
know.
Mikey actually the other day when I was messaging him for his birthday, and he was like talking about, can you believe the destruction in Philadelphia after that Super Bowl? And I was a little bit, I mean, it was pretty crazy. But bringing up the Canucks, when you guys lost, didn't you guys tear down your city, or
Oh, they
wasn't there
burned it
all
to the
kinds of?
ground
Yeah, exactly. So it's not like
twice.
we're the only ones.
Well, we're some of the worst.
Yeah, Buffalo too. When the Sabres lost, they also did some real fucking
Well, they
damage
kind
to
of got
Buffalo.
fucked by the NHL. Like they literally got fucked by the
Well,
NHL, and Brett Hall was doing the fucking. Um, the Dominator man got
yeah,
bent over. That was brutal. Um,
but to act like
yeah, dude.
Chicago won't riot whenever the Bears end up winning, I mean, it's going to be a very similar story there. Maybe people not climbing light posts, but there's going to be some destruction in Chicago when the Bears finally do it.
Yeah, I think it's the nature of a city. Like Vancouver's so passionate about their team. The fact
Yeah,
that they have never won a Stanley Cup over 50, might be going closer to 60 years now in the league. It's just and a Canadian team at that. It's
Yeah.
devastating. And when you get so close that you can taste it twice, they got to game 7 just to lose. It's really tough, especially the last one, because they lost at home and that team had never lost back-to-back games that entire season. It was just tough, tough, tough,
Yeah,
tough.
absolutely. All right, let's move on here. We got to start wrapping this thing up, but let's move on to who's a problem. I don't have one this week, so I'm going to give the floor to Joey D. Joey D, who's a problem this
I got a problem, and I got a big problem. I'm watching the Super Bowl halftime show, watching. All of a sudden, I look over midway through the show. I see one of the most decorated, most winning female tennis players of all time, made more money than God knows, more decorated, more celebrated, more Grand Slams, more this, more that, face of tennis, crip walking to a Kendrick Lamar song as if she's an extra dancer who was just thrown out there and doing it despite her ex-boyfriend Drake, while meanwhile she has a husband and kids at home, is one of the most cringeworthy things that I'm telling you, dude, if I was married to her and I see her parading out to do this as in spite of her ex-boyfriend, you've already lost the battle at home, dude. I don't know what's going on. There is no amount of money or no amount of there's no need to do that. She's better than that. What is she doing? Crip walking. And by the way, it wasn't like she was focused on for 5 minutes. They panned it over. I was like, is that Serena Williams? They went back, panned it over again, and she was gone. It was just like a couple. I thought it was horrific.
The worst part was that she looked awkward doing it. It wasn't even a good crip walk. It was very
she looked like she had been bribed into going to do that because her kids' lives were at risk or so. It was so out of context, so unnecessary. Like,
yeah,
I guess once you retire, you got to be in the limelight somehow. If you're not like Brady showing off $3 million watches, you go out on a halftime show to crip walk. That's the way that you get talked about.
All in the name of trolling Drake, too. That was all that whole thing was about, was just trolling Drake. Which also, SZA, too, who also performed with him and is featured on a couple of his songs, also used to date Drake.
But
too.
She's in a song with Drake. She was singing a song she was performing. I can justify it. Right. Serena Williams had no business being there.
Yeah, it's true.
I started off, I was like, yo, that backup dancer looks like Serena Williams. Turns out it was her. I was like, what in God's name is she doing out there? No need for it. Absolutely not necessary. It's, by the way, it's somewhat borderline disrespectful to your husband at home that you're trying to slap back at an ex-boyfriend of years ago when you got kids with this guy now. I just thought it was terrible taste for someone of her dynasty, of her legacy in the game. And her caliber of what she's done for women's tennis, she's a GOAT when it comes to women's tennis. There's no one better.
I agree. Well, her husband sold Reddit for like $1 billion, so he's he's doing okay.
Sure, he wouldn't mind like a worm dance or some kind of moonwalk to celebrate him. Everybody just wants to be in the public eye nowadays. It's ridiculous. Well, there's no need for it. There's no need. You've made your money. You are a legend of the sport. You are one of the most decorated, most winning, successful athletes of our generation. There's no need to be crip walking during.
Well, I do agree. Once you've made your money, for sure. What do you still do?
Right off into the sunset.
Yeah.
These guys, these people.
Do you think you'll be out there still doing it once you've made your money, or do you think
once I'm gone? And let me tell you, that could be sooner than later. You ain't seeing me again, dog. That's it. Hang them up. I'll pull the old Barry Sanders routine and just leave and never come back. What happened to leaving with some kind of grace? Yeah, Megatron left before he even was And that's it. You don't see him. He's gone. He's got his money now. I said next to him actually in a banquet like several months ago. Couldn't have been a nicer guy. And I was like, you had like several more good years. And yeah, like the guy still looks like a shit brick house. And he was just like, it was time. And you know what? I respect the shit out of that. Because you're at peace with it. You're not needing people to still talk about you, to still be discussed in the public eye. Like you had your time. You're talked about. You're known as one of the best to ever do it. You move on.
Well, the Lions have an uncanny way of retiring guys early. They, them specifically, can get guys out of the league quick.
Maybe he would have helped take them over the Commanders. Who knows?
Sure. All right, let's move on to viewer questions and then get out of here. First one comes from Miles Laughlin, friend of the program.
Mr. Love Miles.
Will ticket go to the parade? Yes, it's tomorrow, or when this comes out. It's coming out. It's coming out today, and the parade is today, and I will be there. And I expect to see Mr. Miles Laughlin there. Yeah,
you guys should link up.
I'm going out. Yeah, maybe I'll hit him up. Miles, what you doing, dude? The next one also here. Adam Kravitz wants to know, did Ticket actually bet on Squabble Up? I did. Which also, by the way, it cashed on DraftKings as the first song, but it wasn't really.
They always do this like artistic shit where they like do something before and you're like, wait, that's not a song. Like that can't be. That can't
it's from
be
some song that I didn't know, and then he went into Squabble Up, but it cashed. I guess it was technically maybe the first one was like an intro or something.
I would have loved him to do more of his old shit, like swimming pools, poetic justice. Yeah. Some of his old stuff was so good, just didn't even touch on it.
Well, he had a whole theme going, basically a theme of fuck Drake kind of thing going on. So he had to stick with that.
By the way, Samuel L. Jackson, I hope he got paid well because that was a tough scene as well. Guy parading around like Uncle Sam. What is wrong with people, man? You know how much do they have to pay him to put, the hat on, the whole 9 yards? Like
all right, last question we'll do here is Joran Palacio. Over under on there being a Fire Sirianni chant by week 9 of next year.
Pop will probably be leading it, to be completely honest.
Give me the under. Give me week 7.
You have to be happy with how he took that team.
Yeah.
Which looked like it, and we talked a lot of shit about him throughout the year and like how he had no capacity to handle the team. When you win a Super Bowl, you got to give kudos where kudos are due. And I know Kellen Moore did a great job. Fangio did a great job, but he managed to handle that team in a way that he had to, and he did what he had to do. There really wasn't any shenanigans in the playoffs that I saw. You got to be somewhat happy with that, no?
I am very happy with that. I think somewhere towards the end of the season, someone like Howie Roseman or maybe even Jeffrey Lurie, someone pulled him aside and said, like, stay the fuck out of the way. Like, just shut your mouth. And just keep it moving.
Who else needs to stay the hell out of the way, who I kind of have an issue with?
Who?
Your big Dom. This guy was craving a post-game appearance on the fucking camera. I don't know if you saw when they were interviewing Jalen Hurts. He was kind of just like that fan who just managed to find himself. It's like, bro, your head of security. Go make sure no one's rushing the field and that the players are safe. Stop making this about, I know I'm going to get lit up because people love him, and I don't necessarily have anything against him, but it was a tough look. I don't know if you saw him sneaking it and leaning into the whole Italian. Yeah. It's a bit much, man.
Yeah. And you know what? You know what else is a bit much is just the Italian thing in general. All these guys leaning into it.
I don't do that.
No, you don't. To your credit, you don't at all. And I love that about you. Unless you're playing with Sebastian Maniscalco and you pronounce your last name all of a sudden completely differently. But other than that, no, you're very good about it. All right, well, we got another podcast to go ahead to, but that is another episode of The Sportsman. We will be back next week. But until then, Joey D, myself, Big Ticket, we will see everyone next week.